I was doing a little milling the other day, and as I was feeding along, I heard a little tink into the down into the chip pan, and something in an area where I knew I shouldn't be hearing anything fall. And it turned out it was this little guy. I'll show a more close-up picture here in a minute. That's a tooth off of this gear. So I was getting kind of worried about these gears anyway, because I went to set up a 5,000 feed, and normally on the lead screw there's a gear and a spacer, and for 5,000 feed you have to replace the spacer with a gear and use that spacer at another point in the drivetrain. So when I tried to do that, I found out that the spacer was actually like, well, it's back on the machine now. It was way thicker than it should have been, and I got to thinking, well, the way that works is you have this gear sitting up like this on a little shaft, and then on one side you have this gear, and then on the other side there's a let me see if I can set them down. Get my hands out of the way. Then there's another one on this side. So the power comes in, and then these three gears are constantly rotating. The power comes in because the gear on the lead screw was always driving this first gear, which drives this intermediate gear, and this drives the output gear. Then to shift your speed, there's a shuttle in there with teeth with slots on it. If you're in this back gear, your power goes from the gear through the shuttle to the shaft. The shuttle's got a key in it, and when you shift it to the other way, then the keyed shuttle is engaged in this front gear here, the output gear. So I got to looking at it. I'll take some close-up pictures of it. I could see exactly where it hit. This tooth here got smashed a little bit, but the teeth were, because this thing was actually wearing up. It's supposed to have this. This is a domed washer, kind of like you see on the tool post, the little washer that helps keep pressure against there. This is similar to that, and it's supposed to keep downward pressure on this gear, this center gear, but I can see it's worn really bad. It's probably, I'd say, a 32nd or 16th less than it should be. So this gear's been moving up with wear, and this gear, I can show you a picture. One of my past videos, I noticed that this gap between this end and the casting was getting bigger and bigger. So this gear was actually moving back, and then this gear, because somebody put that, when I got it, that spacer was in there, and it looks to me like a that Z-Mac, or whatever you call it, Zemek material. But I'm beginning to wonder. I think it's somebody made that to go in there. But anyway, that gear's been going back, which made that gear setup have more room on that shaft and need a wider spacer. So, but with all that wear, actually what was happening, these teeth, and you can see it when I show a close-up, you'll see it. These teeth were actually just riding on the tops. I can easily make this. I've got a set of gear cutters, and it's 16 teeth, so I pulled out the 16. And it's a perfect fit into there. So I can easily make this one for the center, because it's nothing but a through hole and a shoulder in the front, and then, like I say, that flat washer rides against the back of there. These ones would be a little more difficult, because you have to make the points where the, yeah, you can see that pretty good. you have to make the points where the little shuttle engages, your shifter shuttle engages in there. But it's still not impossible. I mean, that can be done. 1/8 end mill and a little bit of finessing around. I do believe I can do that. This one wouldn't be too big of a problem. The thing is, what do I make them out of? If I make them out of steel, then I'm endangering breaking all my gears, and I don't want to break any gears. If I make it out of aluminum, then I know what's going to happen. This is probably a little harder than aluminum or tougher than aluminum. I'm going to wind up with aluminum flakes falling out of there all the time, and it's going to. I just can't imagine aluminum working for that. They want a lot of money for these on there, so I'm not gonna fool with that too much. I might remake this one out of aluminum. Might even try making it out of phenolic or some kind. I got a piece of what do they call that? I bought it from Amazon, so I can inch and a half diameter, made in France. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, this is actually just the right size to make one of them out of. It wouldn't hurt to make one. See, that way I'll be set up when I make the fixtures and all for when I put aluminum up there. I'll be I can go ahead and make one out of aluminum or steel, or maybe brass. Maybe make one out of brass. I don't know. Another possibility would be these little spacers that I've made. I made a bunch of them up. Now mine only have one key. I really don't believe you need 2 keys on those gears. But this is the little spacer, the 2 gears right on there. If I was to take and cut a thin groove down in there, right in the center of the gears, and thin this metal down to where it would break, you know what I'm saying? Like so that it would fail where I want it to fail. Another thing would be I could make these spacers out of this, and that would probably fail. Might fail where I don't want it to also. But that's another possibility. Make one of these that has a weak point in it. Make these sacrificial. That's a possibility. But yeah, I got to make some gears for this thing. Let me see if I can get some close. Let me see if I can zoom it in a little bit. Yeah, this will show you. You can see the gear. Pick up a pencil here and show you. This is the tooth that finally gave way. And that's the tooth that came out of it. And I think you can see here that there's one of these. I'll spin it around. Yeah, this one right here, it must have came out right at this point right here, because this looks like it got damaged a little bit there. But the teeth on it aren't really, I don't know if you can see that or not, but the configuration, it's not really a tooth anymore. It's more just a worn out triangle. And most of the wear seems to be on the top. Because like I say, this surface wearing let this gear come up. This surface wearing allowed this gear to go further down the lathe, allowed it to go, and the gap opened up, and then the other gear on the stub shaft, that's the driving gear, it wore the same way as this on this back face. So these gears have been spreading apart, and this gear's been going up, and the gap's just been opening up more and more, and finally I was milling the other day. I was actually milling something bigger than I should have been. This is a, I don't know, 1.5 inches. Let's see if I can get that in there. Okay. This is an 1.25 inch piece of steel, and I milled a 1/2 inch Yeah, I milled a 1/2 inch slot in it, about 421 deep. But I wasn't taking a heavy cut. When I ran the 3/8 end mill across it, and then I was taking light cuts. Or should I put it this way, I guess. I ran an end mill through the center, and then I was just taking light cuts off of each side. And I was using the power feed, but that's probably on the verge of being a little too much for that little milling setup. I did get it done. But anyway, like I say, now I have to go and I have to make some new gears. So I guess that'll be my next adventure, trying to make some gears on there. Like I say, I have the cutter set. If anybody can read Chinese, I guess they can tell you what that says, but I wrote on there some information. They are decent cutters. I made up a, I got a bar here, made 1 inch, so I can put that in my 5C collet, got a center in it. So I've made up a gear cutter, but I don't think I'm going to use it. I think I'm going to put this up in there and then make this in a small fixture that goes in the milling thing. And on the bottom, this is 16 teeth, so I can take my 32 tooth gears right from the regular drivetrain and use them. I just got to skip every other tooth to index that. And I think I can make that without a problem. The question is, what do I make it out of? Anyway, maybe somebody out there can give me an idea of what to make it out of. So anyway, this is a short video, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one.